All right, guys, so we're going to take a quick dive into Notre Dame's offensive line real quick. This is kind of the first time I've done this, but I've picked a few clips, about 10 of them or so throughout the game, to just kind of go over some of the good and bad things that Notre Dame is doing and has done on their offensive line against Wisconsin this past Saturday. So this is the second play of the game. We're going to dive right into it here. Notre Dame had run a nice little run play for 2 yards to start the game. Not exactly what you want, but at least you're still in a manageable situation. And this is really, I don't know, this is what you can kind of chalk up. Notre Dame is constantly behind the sticks, and it's because of plays like this. So on this play, you're going to see this Wisconsin defensive end kind of shoot right between left guard Zeke Correll and left tackle Tosh Baker here, and get right to Jack Cohn. I'm not an offensive line guru by any means, but rule one of being an offensive lineman in pass protection is to protect your inside gap and then work outwards. And you're not going to see Tosh Baker do that very well on this particular play. So let's click it and let it run. Just beat right to the inside. There it is. And you can see, I mean, this is a 7-second clip. The ball is snapped about almost 3 seconds into the clip. And by not even a full 6 seconds, you got Jack Cohn on the ground. So let's break this down for a second. Let's rewind it back here. So on the snap of the ball, you know, there's a couple ways for Tosh Baker to manage this. He can either get his right foot, right hip kind of in this gap a little bit and make the defender loop around, or he can give the defender the inside and then just kind of collapse him down on into the pocket. Either way, I don't know what Notre Dame prefers on this play, but let's just say that neither of them happens. Let's assume that you want to collapse him down on in, because if you look at the right tackle here, Josh Lugg, he looks to his outside, kind of goes back to his inside and collapses that other defensive end right down on in where there's more bodies and where it would allow Jack Cohn to slide outside the pocket. You don't see Tosh Baker do that. If you look back up here at Tosh Baker, he's just here. He's too high. The Wisconsin defensive end just bench presses him. And at this point, he's standing basically straight up and down. He's on his heels. Jack Cohn hasn't even completed his drop yet. And he slides off that block very easily. And now instead of, you know, at worst an incomplete pass, because if Jack Cohn's able to step out here, throw the ball right here, you pick up a couple yards, you're still ahead of the chains at that point. So instead of, you know, third and manageable, you are now looking at like a 3rd and 16 or whatever you want to say on that particular play. So there's one instance of some pretty poor blocking there out of Tosh Baker. This play is going to look a lot the same. It's almost like an instant replay, but this time Drew Pine is in the game. If you just kind of go back to the start of it, this time it's even more inexcusable because you've got a tight end to the left of Tosh Baker. But basically the same thing is going to happen, is that he's not going to protect the inside gap. This Wisconsin defensive end is going to shoot this gap and get to Drew Pine before he even has a chance. And this one particularly hurt because Notre Dame had moved the ball on Drew Pine's first possession. They pinned Wisconsin deep. They forced a 3-and-out. They got the ball back here in Wisconsin territory, and this is what we get. Strip sack fumble. Wisconsin recovers. We're going to let this roll for a little bit longer because you're going to be able to see it from the backside, and just sort of see what happens here as soon as they get through this little replay situation here. So there you see it. You know, we've got a tight end out here. He can at the very least chip this defensive end. Chris Tyree is here in the backfield. He can at least chip this defensive end if he, you know, ends up being more of a free runner. And at this point, if you're Tosh Baker, you're worried about this guy right here. And nothing. Now, you might also add that Andrew Christophics doesn't really do anything else on this play. But he's checking his inside gap first. He also has to be quicker to check that inside gap and get out. I imagine that's what Tosh Baker thinks is happening here. I don't think this is an effort thing. I think this is a misunderstanding thing. But at this point, 4 weeks into the season, I don't know how this miscommunication happens. As it is, you know, again, Andrew Christophics goes down here to help Jared Patterson, We've got Chris Tyree taking the linebacker. We've got this defensive end blocked up, and this defensive end does not, get blocked. And so probably Andrew Kristofic can help out over here. That's probably maybe what Notre Dame wants. You assume Jarrett Patterson's pretty good on his own. At the very least, he's going to force this guy on out a little bit so that Jack Cohn can step up in the pocket and maybe make a play here. But that's obviously not what happened. And obviously that's not Jack Cohn. That is Drew Pine. But you get the point. So this was at a critical juncture in the game and obviously, nearly cost us. So there we go. Next, I'm going to go to this one. Here's another sack where Notre Dame's just outmatched. We're just going to let it play. You're going to see this guy slide off, get to the quarterback, really mess things up for Notre Dame. So really here, you motion George tactics, and you're just going to see Notre Dame's entire offensive line, but particularly the left side, just get bullied. Take note of the fact they're snapping this on the 20, okay? There's 1 second into the clip, not even a full 1 second. Within another second or so, you got 5 offensive linemen, 5 yards off the ball almost. And Jack Cohn just can't step up. So as you watch this, you're just going to watch Zeke Correll right here. I believe that's who it is. Yeah. Just get bull rush right back to the quarterback, and Jack Cohn has no chance. Pretty simple. Just got beat on that particular play. Let's stick with the bad for right now. Here's another kind of bad play that we'll see. You're going to see Taj Baker right here. We're just going to watch this again. Just beat to the inside. Now, this doesn't end up in a sack, but protect your inside gap. This time the guy is just too fast, fakes upfield, goes inside, and within a millisecond, we've got Jack Cohn running for his life. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it at this point. We just need better play here. This time it looks like Kristofic is in again. He takes the defensive tackle, which leaves Taj Baker kind of on his own. I get it. 2 guys are coming. Maybe that's part of the confusion. But I don't know. Now let's look at, a couple of bad run plays. Here's one where this one might be a little bit on Jack Cohn. I'm kind of not sure. You kind of see that Notre Dame is changing the play here a little bit. There's Joe Alt moving him out a little ways to the other side of the formation. Looking to the sideline here. Sorry, that kind of I messed that up a little bit, but Joe Alt moves to the left, and so you're set at this alignment. Okay, now this is Notre Dame has kind of done what they can to get as many big guys in on the field as they can, but here's why sometimes that doesn't work. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 linemen / tight ends on the field. 3 skill players and Jack Cohn, so 4 skill players. If you look at what Wisconsin has, they have 3 down linemen, 2 outside backers, another safety or outside backer here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys creeping towards the line of scrimmage, and then 7 and 8. They got a safety back here. You can see his shadow, and then 2 corners. They've stacked the box with 8 dudes right here. Notre Dame has 7 guys to block them, and Notre Dame knows that there's not a ton of what you can Wisconsin knows there's not a ton of things that Notre Dame can do here, so they're going to as soon as the ball is snapped, these linebackers are on their way to the line of scrimmage right now. Notre Dame gets no push with the guys that they do block. In fact, they get pushed back. Guys slide off of blocks. Linebackers playing downhill. And Kyron Williams has no chance. Notre Dame's got to get out of this play. This was doomed from the start with what Wisconsin was running here. So one last time. Just no movement from the offensive line. Nothing. Another bad run real quick. Here's it's going to be a stretch play, an outside zone play. If you're running this outside zone and you're Zeke Correll right here, your job is to get your right shoulder pad in front of his face and move him out that way. If he's slanting that way, you move him out kind of parallel to the line of scrimmage. He does neither of those things. He gets pushed back. He lets the defense come to him, which is not what you want to do. Like, watch Zeke Correll right here on this play. So I kind of go through it. He's not even firing off the line of scrimmage. He's got to take a better angle and not let this guy just come right off of him for penetration. And now we're 4 yards deep in the backfield, and Kyron Williams has a hand on him already. Now, all of that bad stuff, there were a couple of good things that happened. Notre Dame ran this particular play a couple of times throughout the game, where they've got two tight ends right here. They're going to motion Kevin Austin across the formation. And on this particular play, you're going to see this this outside linebacker kind of widen out a little bit. And this is a nice play that Notre Dame runs here. That movement from that outside linebacker makes things a little bit easier because they're going to come kick out block. I believe it's going to be Kane Madden that comes and kicks out here. Not quite. Wrong clip. But they're going to kick that guy out with the tight end, it looks like. And because now look at that running lane that they've, Michael Mayer's in here with a nice block. Kevin Austin, after he came out here, he kind of loops around. He's going to come get the safety. That's a 7-yard gain right there. They ran this play, or at least kind of like a variation of it, a couple of different times, 3-4 times throughout the game. And they got positive yardage on every play. Here you're going to see it again. Here we go. Austin in motion. This time, so this is actually a little bit of a different play, but the same concept because Kane Madden does kind of come on out here and kick out block here. So there's that. Again, it's really kind of the same thing. These other guys kind of block down on this one. So similar play, a little bit of a different wrinkle, but the formation and the personnel remains the same. You see, the right tackle and some block down. Kane Madden does a nice job of kicking out and getting this outside backer here, which is a nice kind of easy block to make. And there's Chris Tyree for 5 or 6 yards. And finally, one more kind of positive play. There's actually 2 of them, and they're going to be almost identical clips as well. Anytime Notre Dame has a completed pass, it seems like Kyron Williams throws one heck of a block to let Jack Cohn or Drew Pine or whoever it is get it off. Here's a play here. I believe this is in the first quarter because that's Jack Cohn. Kyron Williams is just such a good blocker. You're going to see kind of the free runner, the blitzer right there. That is one heck of a hit from Kyron Williams on that linebacker that blitzes in there. Wisconsin's doing a whole lot of movement around. It's going to end up being this linebacker that you're going to see that blitzes in there and just gets jacked by Kyron Williams right there, which allows then Jack Cohn, who is looking for Michael Mayer coming across the middle here to get back to his one-on-one coverage, his next read, which is Kevin Austin here at the top of the screen. I mean, this is just pretty. Bang. It's real nice. Finally, then, kind of the last clip. It's going to look very much the same. And actually, this is the same clip. I lied to you. This is the same clip, but from the behind, just so you can appreciate this Kyron Williams dot. Bang. That's just real nice right there. And even the broadcast talks about how you can see that this linebacker and this linebacker go to Michael Mayer, which then allows Kevin Austin in a one-on-one matchup right here. If you remember, later in the second half, Notre Dame needed kind of a crucial 3rd and 5 pickup. Kyron Williams does the exact same thing on that play, just gets a blitzing linebacker. It's the exact same play as this one, and this time it's Drew Pine who hits Kevin Austin with like a nice little shoestring catch on the left sideline that allows Notre Dame to pick up a crucial 3rd down, late in this game and eventually go on to win it. So, in summary, Notre Dame's offensive line has some issues. Kyron Williams and Chris Tyree are both doing a great job in pass protection. But, I think getting Michael Carmody back in place of, Tosh Baker might actually help. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. There's some correctable things, but definitely some things. When you see the offensive line getting pushed back the way that Notre Dame's is, that's not something that fixes itself overnight. Now, hopefully we look back on this and say that Wisconsin's defensive line was one of the better ones that Notre Dame will face throughout the year. But there you go. There you have it. There's some things that are going on with Notre Dame's offensive line.